Hello and welcome back to another video. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And we are doing EFL 24-25 Championship Predictions. Um, Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. We're trying to hit 500 before the end of the year. And it's at GVOMax on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok if you want to follow me. Now, this is the hardest league to predict in the world. The hardest. Now, I don't watch League One and League Two as much as I can, but I watch the Championship quite a bit when I can. If there's a big game on the Championship and a big game on in the Premier League, and they're both at the same time, I'll have a double screen. I like to watch the Friday night games. Like to watch when it's occasionally on a Monday night as well. Um, and if I'm more interested in the game in the Championship than I am the Champions League, when they're both clashing midweek, I'll watch it then as well. So I try to watch it as much as possible. I obviously can't watch it every week. Um, but regardless of what I predict in this video, it's probably going to be wrong. And I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible, but it's probably going to be a long video. So make sure to strap in. And listen, if you are a fan of any of these clubs, just leave me your thoughts in the comments on why you think I've got your team wrong, or this team. I predicted them too high, I predicted them too low. Give me your reasoning. Because I obviously can't follow all of these clubs in general, but I wanted to do this just because I want to actually see if I get any right. I'm terrible at predictions. I'm terrible at Premier League predictions, and I'm a fan of a Premier League club, as you can see. And yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Oh man. Let's start with 24th. Let's start with 24th. I put Derby County there. Now it seems to be the most negative um in terms of like atmosphere, let's say. I've put Derby 24th because of that very reason. I think the least amount of optimism. I've tried to go of what the general consensus is, and it looks like that even though they just got promoted and they were on a high, um, it looks like it looks like they feel like they're going to go straight back down. Now, don't get me wrong, the loan signing of David Ozo has put some form of positivity within Derby County, but they have struggled before in the Championship, obviously for different reasons, due to the fact they had a points deduction as well. But I don't think they're strong enough to survive compared to the other two promoted teams. Um, but yeah, 24th, I've gone with Derby County. Now, 23rd, I've gone Sheffield Wednesday. I know that I think that's going to be a controversial one. But with Sheffield Wednesday, I remember last season especially, they hired I forgot the guy's name, it was a former Watford manager, and he literally lasted like a few months. Obviously, lost to Southampton first game of the season, but they ended up surviving in the end. They had some form of mentality to put together to survive relegation in the end, but I think that's not going to last the second season. I don't know, and with their ownership as well, I know there's a big like sort of chaos thing to do with their ownership. Unless they got some form of takeover that I haven't followed, it's still the same ownership. Obviously, the negativity really stemmed from the whole Darren Moore situation from when they got promoted last season. I think that's going to maybe not continue from the Darren Moore situation, but continue from the fact that they still don't like their owners, and I feel like that's going to cause some form of negativity, and it's going to be very hard for them to survive throughout. So listen, if I've got that wrong, just let me know. Let me know in the comments. But if well, in your opinion. But 22nd, I've gone Plymouth Argyle. I am sorry to any Plymouth fans because I actually don't really have anything against Plymouth. I've not really ever had an opinion on them. But two words: Wayne Rooney. I don't. I don't. I think time and time again, Wayne Rooney has tried to prove himself that he's not a bad manager. He didn't do that well in the MLS. Came to Birmingham where it was a very hard situation to go in because John Eustace was doing well there. For some reason, they were like, yeah, let's go and get Wayne Rooney instead. And then it led to Birmingham getting relegated from there. It was one of the most stupid decisions from the ownership. Now he's the manager of Plymouth, and Plymouth were already in a relegation battle last season. Don't get me wrong, they still got Morgan Whittaker. They managed to keep him. He's a good player. And you never know, they can do it again. But I don't see Rooney forming that team spirit amongst the teams to survive relegation once again. No, he didn't even do that much of a bad job with Derby, given the circumstances. But I don't see Plymouth surviving. I'm sorry, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see Plymouth surviving. But that leads me on to the the team that I think are going to finish 21st, and that's Oxford United. I think Oxford are going to mainly go off, the team spirit. Uh, the team spirit, the fact that they've just bounced back from promotion. Oh fuck, I've spelt United wrong. I'm not going to do that for every team, but whatever, innit? But with Oxford United, I think they're going to go off the team spirit, the fact that they just got promoted, and they're going to go on a bit of a way for that. Then it's going to kick in where they don't eventually have the final third qualities to actually get through the whole season. So they'll be in a relegation battle, but for the fact that there's not really too much pressure on them due to the fact that they've just got promoted, and don't get me wrong, there's still quite a lot of positivity due to the fact that they are promoted. I can't remember the last time they were in the championship. So fair play to them. Hope they survive. I don't like seeing teams that just got promoted to get relegated again, unless it's Sheffield United, of course. But yeah, I think they'll just about survive. I think they'll still survive. I'm not going to keep doing the banners because I didn't actually prepare the banners before the video. But 20th, I've gone QPR. Now, no one knows this on this channel, funny enough, not even my regular subscribers. My second team is QPR. The reason why my second team is QPR is because of my granddad. My granddad didn't know anything about football. He just said he supported QPR. But because when he passed, I was like, fuck it, I'll carry it on as QPR is my second team. So as much as I think QPR maybe will approach the season in a lot more positive manner, I'm not sure they've made enough smart signings to actually, go ahead and survive, etc. Don't get me wrong, I actually think their manager's actually decent, but I still think, given the circumstances that they're in, they've not really improved their squad from what I've seen. Um, I think it'll be another relegation battle, but I do think they'll survive. Maybe in the season after, we can maybe see them kicking on to a mid-table championship side once again, and maybe hopefully one day getting promoted, which I would love for QPR to come back, of course. But for now, I'm still going to say 20th. But I hope QPR prove me wrong. I'll be rooting for them all season. Someone who I won't be rooting for is the team in 19th, and that's Millwall. I could be biased and just say Millwall will get relegated, but due to the fact that they've got some form of team spirit with Neil Harris in charge, I'm pretty sure he's still in charge. Obviously, I'm pretty sure he's a legend at Millwall. Unfortunately for them, they lost their goalkeeper passed away. I'm not sure what the cause of the death was, but he passed on the same day as Kevin Campbell did, and it was kind of sad. I think it was some problem with his heart or whatever it was. But condolences to his family and all that, and everyone at Millwall affected, of course. Um, I don't think I don't think they'll get relegated, but I think again they'll be in a relegation battle again. I'm really interested to watch the relegation battle this season in the championship because I generally think from the team now having 14th onwards, it could be like 10 teams where it's just that close going together. They obviously made a permanent signing of Japhet Tanganga, who's obviously highly thought of by Tottenham and stuff like that. So he'll be a help, of course. They made a couple signings as well. I think they brought one of their ex-players back. Um, they're just one of them teams where they'll get relegated. They won't get relegated this season, but it won't be easy for them. I'll be very surprised if they finish any higher than 15th. But 19th is where I've gone for. Now, 18th, again, this might be a bit controversial, but I'll put Portsmouth there. Now, Portsmouth obviously have struggled over the past few years to actually get promoted from League One to the Championship. But ever since John Musilio came in, I think that's how you pronounce his name. John Musilio came in. Obviously, I think Portsmouth play tomorrow on Friday. I'm not too sure. They play, I think, no, they might play Leeds. I don't know what it is. There's been a lot of positivity and a lot of people saying that maybe they can over exceed expectations. That was another reason why I went to Southampton to not get promoted was to have that derby in the same league. But hopefully Southampton get relegated this season and maybe we can see that once again. But with Portsmouth, again, they're like a bit like Oxford, they'll have no expectation on them in general from the fans and to really do any more than survive relegation, in my opinion, unless they've like I know they made a couple of smart signings as well, but listen, I learned like that a lot of people are thinking about they could be the Ipswich of this season, but I don't see that. I would actually like them to be up there, but yeah, I don't see that. But they're not going to have as much pressure on them as like a Millwall or QPR, where they've already been a championship side for a few years now, and it's like, cool, we don't expect to get relegated, sort of thing. I think they'll have slightly more positivity in that. I think they'll probably beat a couple teams that are going to go for the playoffs, etc. But in my opinion, 18th will probably be their limit. I'm sorry again. I haven't. You haven't been hearing me on my microphone this whole time, so I do apologize. Um, my microphone is now turned on. So sorry for the bad audio quality. I've only just realised that my mic was off. Okay, 17th, we've got Swansea City. Swansea, obviously, with the loss of Russell Martin, I'm pretty sure they sacked another manager. I can't remember who it was in between, but they ended up appointing the Notts County manager, Williams. I forgot his first name. Plays a lot of good football. Was known for his short corners as well. For him talking about the type of set piece tactics that him and his coaching staff do. Obviously, struggled a little bit last season. I think they'll struggle a little bit this season as well, but he likes that he does play good football. And a lot of every time Swansea hire a manager, they always like this young aspiring manager that go on to do bigger things. So I think he'll impress with the budget that they have, and I think they'll be comfortable in 17th. And I think that's it. Obviously, 16th they've gone Blackburn, Blackburn Rovers. I don't know whether people think they're going to finish higher or lower. If they keep Sammy Szmodics and they've got John Eustace in charge, who I think is a good Championship manager, I think they'll be somewhat stable. I think they'll be in the range of relegation battle where they'll be 4 points off, 5 points off every time, but they won't actually have a proper threat of ever getting relegated. Um, they'll shock a few teams, like in terms of just one-off results as well, but I don't think they'll go on to do anything more than that. I do hope for John Eustace's sake and big up Blackburn as well, that Blackburn do go on and over exceed expectations, but I don't see it happening. 15th, I've gone Stoke City. I think Stoke City might be the most bland team in English football, and they managed to be even more bland since they got relegated all those years ago to the Championship. I don't really know what to say much about them. I just think they'll finish 15th. I don't imagine that Stoke City fans are quite happy. I don't think they've been happy for about 10 years, but um, I haven't really got much to say about Stoke because I don't really know what's been happening around that club for a very long time. But so I could be heavily wrong with this, but it is what it is. 14th, I've got Watford. Now I know Watford could probably finish lower, knowing them, and I know their fans are worried about the lack of signings they made. For some reason, they brought back Musa Sissoko. I don't know what Musa Sissoko is doing in the Championship. But if there's one thing that Musa Sissoko won't be up to is trying to get a team to survive relegation. So I would not be surprised if they do get relegated. However, because the Championship is so tough and it's so competitive, with the points tally and the teams next to each other and stuff, there's about 10 points in between 10 positions at times. Um, I don't think that Watford will get relegated, but I do think it's going to be a heavily negative season. I don't understand their owners. You can imagine that Tom Cleverley is bound to get sacked at some point. I don't think they'll keep Asprilla either, but I think it'll be a one where he'll play a couple games and he'll get his move. Uh, they've obviously lost Kone to Marseille as well. That's going to be a big blow for them. Yeah, it's not really positive around Watford, and I don't understand their ownership. 13th, I've got Sunderland. Obviously keeping Joe Bellingham, like to be honest, I don't think it would have been the biggest loss in the world. I've not really been too impressed. I think he'll be maybe a Premier League player in about 3-4 years time, but I think him going to Crystal Palace would have been such a stupid move because he's not ready for the Premier League. Just because his name's Bellingham, it doesn't mean he's ready. I don't know whether the Pierre Ekwa situation has resulted in him leaving yet. I know there was a team interested. I don't know whether Ekwa has left yet. I know Jack Clark has regained interest from Leeds United and returned to Leeds United once again. Um, however, um, I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot what I was going to say. But with Sunderland, I know nothing about their manager at this current moment in time. I think they'll keep Jack Clark as well. They were talking about Jack Clark. With Jack Clark, he's a great player. Great player. I think Sunderland are slightly lucky to have him. And I want Sunderland to get promoted so we can see that Newcastle Sunderland derby once again. I like the derbies. So that'll be nice. I do like Sunderland. I would like them to get promoted. But I don't see it happening. I know nothing about their manager. I know they were linked with Will Still, which was very ambitious from them before. They've been linked with him twice. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I know their manager's French. I'm looking at Adji Elise, obviously, as a youngster from West Ham very closely to see how he does in this season. Very rash, quite a rash player. Obviously, they've got Barr. I'm pretty sure Patrick Roberts is still there. If not, if he has left, I have no idea about it. The thing is, they've actually got an okay squad overall. They've got Dennis Serkin, they've got Dan Neil as well. These are highly thought of players from what I hear, but it's just can you turn that into proper application? I'm not too sure. I think Sunderland are gonna have a very up and down season where They're not going to be worried about relegation or promotion. They're just going to be there, and it's going to be very difficult for them to gain any momentum beyond that. 12th, I've gone Cardiff. Uh, I don't. I think Aaron Ramsey left. I think Aaron Ramsey left, but Cardiff finished mid-table last season, so I just thought they'd finish mid-table this season. I don't really know if they're what the atmosphere is like between their fan base and or the amount of negativity or positivity that is going to come out of there. But I've predicted them 12th just because I don't think they're as good to finish in with the promoted teams, or I don't think they're as shit as some of the teams below them, like such as like the QPRs and Millwalls. No offense, actually, fuck Millwall, but no offense to QPR. So I've just finished 12th. I don't really have much to say on Cardiff just because I don't really know what's going on there. But yeah, we'll see. 11th, I've got Bristol City. Now, Bristol City are pretty much the Crystal Palace of the Championship, where they finish mid-table every season. They've got Liam Manning, likes to play good football. They've got Tommy Conway, highly thought of as well up front. But it's just the fact of, do they have all the other elements to really kick on and maybe try and get beyond 11th place or beyond the mid-table spaces in the Championship? I'm not too sure. I don't think so. But big up to Bristol City, of course. And yeah, hopefully you can have a better season than I said. But I do like their manager. Obviously, he used to be MK Don's manager as well. I remember watching one game of MK Don's under Liam Manning just because Conor Coventry was there on loan from West Ham, so I thought I'd give him a watch. So we'll see how Bristol City do, but I'm mainly just gone with the meme of the fact that they finish in the Championship all the time. I finish mid-table in the Championship all the time. 10th, I've gone Hull City. Now, Hull City are going to have a blatant fall-off after the weird sacking of Liam Rosenier and losing Jacob Greaves and Jaden Philogene, and obviously they had Fabio Cavalli on loan for the second half of the season, but when you look at all those players, they're not there anymore. Not really know what they've done to replace them either. It could be even bigger drop off than I've even said, and I was very cautious about even picking them to finish 10th. But I don't know, man. I don't know what their new manager's like, but I'm just thinking with the change of manager, it's not really going to do the best in terms of morale within the dressing room atmosphere, in terms of sacking Liam Rosenier, but also losing two of your main players. That was always going to happen, but yeah, man. I get it, fumbled promotion, all of that, but it wasn't. He didn't really exactly have the biggest budget from what I saw for the Championship, so it is what it is. 9th, I've got Norwich City. Norwich City, again, are going to have probably a bit of a fall off. I think Wagner deserved to be sacked, but Gabriel Sara's gone to Galatasaray, the main player of Norwich City last season. Jonathan Rowe's been linked with Leeds, but it looks complicated. I reckon they'll keep him. That's why I think they'll finish 9th and not lower, because they'll keep someone like a Jonathan Rowe, and they'll just keep a couple of their other players as well. So it's just going to be a big gap, and they're going to miss maybe a lot more creativity, a lot more goals from midfield, etc. But other than that, I think they'll be somewhat fine. But I think they want to get promoted, and they don't have the biggest budget either. Let's be honest. 8th, I've gone Preston. I've already gone Preston just because the manager and the players are the most used to each other. They won't be as broken apart as you know most other teams where their squad has been taken away, picked apart, etc. They've got enough stability, I think, just to finish in an 8th place position, but just not enough for a playoff spot. 7th, I've gone West Brom. There seems to always be negativity about West Brom. Every time I look at through the Championship of the season, every season, I just think there's a bit of negativity around their ownership as well. It's not like they're the best financially right now, but the most positive thing for them right now is their manager. I think they've lost Thomas Asante, so I don't know whether it's Coventry or I can't remember who they lost them to, but they're still kept most of their players from what I've seen. I don't really know who they've sold other than that, but also they've still got Carlos Corberán who can get the best out of what he has, and he's a blatantly better manager than most of the other managers in the Championship. He's working with a budget that's maybe less gone too far down. At 6th, I know this will probably be controversial as well. Middlesbrough. I've got Middlesbrough. I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think they'll win the playoffs. I'll get on to who I think is going to win the playoffs in a minute. But with Middlesbrough, they've obviously dropped off. They dropped off last season due to the fact that they lost Aaron Ramsey to Burnley. They lost Cameron Archer to Sheffield United at the time as well. They lost someone else, but I forgot who it was. Chuba Akpom. They lost Chuba Akpom as well. and then they dropped off from a playoff season. But even with that drop off, they weren't too far away. Now, if I'm looking at the table from last season, they still finished 8th, and they had a big drop off in terms of their squad. They also lost Morgan Rogers as well to Aston Villa within the Championship January window. But they've still got players like Hayden Hackney. They've still got players like Isaiah Jones. I know Isaiah Jones isn't as highly thought of as he was the year before. I'm pretty sure they've still got Marcus Force up front as well. I think that'll be enough to get them in a playoff spot, but I do think they'll lose in a semi-final. That's just my early prediction for that. I think Michael Carrick's a good manager, and he'll be a good manager one day in the Premier League. I just think if he had moved for the last 18 months to get to the Premier League, he would have had a big job on his hands. Although I do actually think he could do a similar job to how Gary O'Neill's doing at Wolves, but that's just my opinion with a bigger budget and stuff. At 5th, I've got Sheffield United. I was going to predict an even bigger fall off at first when I was thinking about these predictions for Sheffield United, due to the fact that they have become stale. They have become really stale, and they need to switch it up. I think they're gonna change formation though, due to the diamond formation. They played that at the back end of the Premier League season a little bit. Maybe play a variation of the three at the back that they usually play, but we've got Chris Wilder back. It's the most stable squad they have, but they're also making a couple of smart signings apart from Alfie Gilchrist, which I don't think is going to do well for them. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think he's that good. But they're making smart signings for the Championship to try and get back up promoted. But I think they'll make the final. I think they'll make the playoff final. I don't want them to get promoted again because they'll just finish 20th again. But I think they're quite boring, to be completely honest, and I hope they don't get promoted. I hope they don't go anywhere near the playoffs. But listen, because their manager, because of the squad they have, I know they lost Jayden Bogle, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They lost Ollie McBurney on a free. Big up Ryan Brewster. I know he hasn't done well for Sheffield United, but he's from Chadwell Heath, which is my area, so I've got to champion him. There's no one from my area has done fuck all. So big up Ryan Brewster. And yeah, I think they'll lose the playoff final to the team that I have in 3rd, but who I have in 4th is Burnley. Again, Burnley was also another team that I was thinking of predicting lower than what I predicted them today. I don't believe in Scott Parker to this time get the promotion job done, like he did with Bournemouth and Fulham, due to the top 3 teams that are equipped right now. I think they will make the playoff semi-final and lose as well. That squad is so packed in terms of wingers. There's going to be a lot of players that are going to be upset with the lack of playing time that they're getting. They've been so used to a Vincent Kompany who actually plays good football, and it would have been great for them if they had kept Vincent Kompany. I probably would have predicted them to finish either 1st or 2nd. But he's now at Bayern Munich. But with Burnley, they've still got Benson. They've still got Lyle Foster. Still got Josh Cullen. Still got Josh Brownhill. It's a good squad, but I just think with their manager, if they had a better manager, they might get top 2 spaces. My prediction is the fact that Scott Parker is going to really severely underachieve throughout the first half of the season, and they get a new manager. I don't know who that's going to be, and then they go back and shoot back up into the playoff spots. That's going to be my prediction. I don't believe in Scott Parker as a manager. And you can ask Bournemouth and Fulham fans the same thing. 3, I've gone Coventry. That's probably the biggest, out there prediction I'm going to assume from the perceptions and of fans of the Championship clubs. I've gone with this because I really rate Mark Robbins. I really rate him for a man who's taken on the club with this budget. I know they lost Gustavo Harman and Gyökeres last season, which is why they dipped a bit. But I think they're going to bounce back, and I think they're going to take it by storm. I think Haji Wright will step up and almost shoot them to a near automatic promotion spot, but maybe not enough. And I think they will win the playoffs, and I think they'll get promoted. I know it's actually very rare that the 3rd team in the Championship out of the 3rd to 6th positions actually wins the playoffs, but I can see them doing it. I can see this being their year. Again, they play some decent stuff, and they're very organised. I like the Championship where they have the balance of teams that can play 3 at the back and play good football, but also be hard to break down at the same time. And Coventry is one of those teams. I forgot their Dutch centre back that I really like, or the Dutch left back that I really like. But they've got some good players still. I know they lost Callum O'Hare to Sheffield United on a free as well, but again, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll take that mentality from the FA Cup and just shoot it into the Championship. And also, the reason why I put Coventry, Burnley, and Sheffield United and Middlesbrough so high is because I think a lot of teams in the Championship have actually dropped off from the quality of last season. But that's just my opinion. I think these are the easiest top two spots you'd like to think. But we're going to get into that now. Second, I've got Luton Town. Luton Town have pretty much kept all of their players apart from Ross Barkley. Alfie Dougherty's still there. Elijah Adebayo is still there. Colton Morris is still there. Ogbene is still there. Reece Burke is... Well, no one's going to get Reece Burke. Actually, no, Reece Burke might have left on a free. But they've kept most of the team that got relegated from the Premier League. I know Chong maybe being looked at by Premier League clubs, but I still think he'll stay. I don't know why all the players at Luton you take Taif Chong. He's not a bad player, but he's not fantastic or anything. But honestly, they are the most stable. They've kept their manager and they've kept their players, most of their players. Like Clark is still there. Luke Berry's still there, I'm pretty sure. Like and Panzu is still there. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong if these players have left, because that's why I predicted them to finish second. Most of the players are still there. So they're going to get promoted. And it'll be fine for them. They'll probably compete for the title with the blatant obvious team that I haven't mentioned yet, but I think they'll be fine, man. They've got if that team did what they did in the Premier League last season, you'd only expect with them staying they're going to absolutely dismantle some Championship teams. So they'll play a bit more on the front foot as well to get the best out of their attackers as well. But I like their squad. I do like their squad, and I'll be looking out for them this season. And first, of course, I've got Leeds United. I don't really see anyone else that's going to compete for that title, maybe apart from Luton. And if I was looking at a couple hypothetical starting 11s for Leeds United, I was thinking if they don't get promoted with that team, despite losing Archie Gray and big up Somerville, big up Leeds for Somerville as well, despite losing them two, that's a fucking failure. And Daniel Farker should never come back to England to try and manage a team again. I'm already looking at him sideways after that playoff final because that was terrible. But if you look at their attack, Brendan Aronson is staying. I didn't think he was that great in the Premier League, but he'll do well in the Championship. They've got Rutter, they've got Peru. I know Peru isn't that good, but as a backup sort of thing, he's not going to do that bad. Mateo Joseph is going to step up. Daniel James is a good for the Championship. I know they've lost Kamara as well, but I still think Gruev and Joe Rothwell is a good signing. That's going to probably be, unpopular opinion, maybe the signing of the season in the Championship, in my opinion. Jaden Bogle's a good signing, even though a lot of their fullbacks are quite injury prone, so maybe they need to watch out for that. And there'll be some things in the defensive aspect they may be worried about, but Wilfred Nonto's still there. I don't think he's going to leave. And even though that's probably what Everton need, a right-footed winger. And I know they've been interested in Wilfred Nonto for a long time now, but I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening, him leaving. But it should be blatant. They should win this by quite a long shot, if I'm being completely honest with you. But if they don't get promoted, Daniel Farker has to go. In my opinion, he should have gone after the final. But even if Leeds get promoted, I don't see them surviving the next season just because, again, Daniel Farker, I don't rate this guy as a manager, if I'm being completely honest. That's my phrase on this channel, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, they have enough attacking quality to get promoted. That team should score about 50, 60 goals in the fucking Championship, if we're being honest. Nonto, Rutter up front, they've really stepped up. And they're going to continue to step up. And with Wilfred Nonto fresh off, the agent situation of last season, he's going to have a fresh mind. He's going to be concentrated throughout. He probably would ideally like to be in the Premier League, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I'm sorry if my internet is cut out as well, but I'm going to end it there anyway. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe if you want to. Social medias are in the description if you want to follow me. And an email for any inquiries. And I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.